Hey everybody, what's up? Welcome back to another edition of An Idiot's Guide to the Line 6 Helix. I'm your resident idiot, Jeremy Vareo, and today we're going to take a look at updating your Helix LT, floor, or rack to firmware version 2.3. Stick around. Alright you guys, thanks for hanging in. We're going to update, like I said, to firmware 2.30. The previous version was 2.21. In this update they gave us 7 new amps, 7 new effects, and did some back-end optimization, whatever the hell that means, to make sure that our overall user experience is even better than the last time they gave us an update. So we're going to go online, we're going to download the update files, we're going to download the new HX editor, which looks really cool because now the editor there plus the interface for native should be identical, really. So that's nice. It's kind of uniform across all the Helix platforms that you're using. And these steps will work with your LT, your floor, or your rack unit. So let's get to it. Through the magic of the internet, we've been transformed to the mystical land of Jeremy's office. Sorry. Anyway, let's go ahead and get this update rolling. First thing I want to do is take a look at the Helix updater release notes. These came out yesterday when the firmware was announced, and this is basically a step-by-step process that will walk you through how you are going to do your update, depending on what firmware that you're using. So, step 1, we're going to check what firmware we're on. I already know what version firmware I'm running, but I'm going to show you guys how to check it. And again, it's step 1 here, and we're going to follow all the steps. So, we're going to hit the menu button. We're going to hit knob 6 for global settings, and then we're going to look in the right-hand corner of the main display, and it'll tell us what firmware we're on. So here, this button with 3 lines is the menu button. This guy right here is global settings, and you can see that we're on firmware version 2.21. So we're in good shape. Since we're at 2.21 or higher, we're going to do these green steps. We're going to go and get the HX Edit application on the Line 6 website under Downloads. I already know we need the Line 6 updater, so we're going to download that. Yes, hit the download. We're going to read all of that. Sure we are. And accept the download. In there, that'll happen there. We're going to go back over here to software Helix 2.3. Grab this firmware. I don't know if I actually need it, but we're just going to grab it anyway. And then again, we're going to get HX Edit, which is the software that you'll use to finish your update and to edit patches should you decide you want to edit them on your computer. Again, going to read all of that real quick. And these are downloading. As this finishes, let's go ahead and take another peek at the notes. The Helix is already connected via USB cable that came with the device. I'm going to take all 3 of these files and drag them to my desktop because I like to do that. We're going to use HX Edit to make a backup of our current Helix. Go ahead and install it real quick. Continue again. Sure you agree. I'm going to put it on your main hard drive. You betcha. Cool. While we're doing installs, I'm going to go ahead and install the Helix updater as well, just to get the installs out of the way. And again, the approach on this video is for you guys who have just recently gotten your Line 6 Helixes and you're doing this for the first time. For other guys that are just doing an update to and have had it for a while, you know how to do this. Cool. Now we're going to go to step 2. Connect the Helix to your computer, launch HX Edit. It's already connected. So you go into your Applications folder under line 6, and there you'll see HX Edit. You'll see down here it's connecting to the Line 6 Helix, in this instance the floor. Now, something really cool that I know that HX Edit does that the old Helix editor doesn't or didn't do was it's scalable. So if you need to be able to read while you're doing stuff, you can go ahead and make it smaller. I think that is totally awesome. So now we're going to go to File from the pull-down menu, Create Backup, and it's going to do a backup everything that we've ever set up on this Helix before, whether it's settings for your inputs and outputs, whether it's the IRs that you have loaded or presets. It's going to make copies of all of that stuff, which is really, really nice. So we're going to create a backup. I'm going to call it First Stab Update. And it's going to put it in this location here under my Documents folder under Line 6 Tones Helix Backups. Create backup. Should be really quick because I don't really have anything on here. Awesome. So backup complete. We're good to go. Now it's telling us to close HX Edit, open the Line 6 Updater, and follow the prompts to update our firmware. So we'll close this guy out. Launch the updater. I always forget this. It worked. And there we go. We're on firmware 2.21, and we're going to go ahead and do that update. FYI, you can downgrade to previous firmware versions, and I actually had to do that for this video because if I'm honest, my video capture software pooped out halfway through doing it the first time. So if you for some reason wanted to downgrade to an older firmware version, you can do that in here. It is important to understand this. Line 6 does not recommend it. I also don't recommend it, but for your benefit, I risked it. You're welcome. Anyway, we're going to click on the 2.3 update. This kind of gives you an overview of all the things that were added and fixed. 7 new amps, 7 new effects, and then all these new features that were added, bug fixes, etc., except, and we begin. Cool. So, says the Helix was starting automatically, and it is doing that. It's going to go through and rebuild all of its presets. Once that's finished, we're going to go back into HX Edit. We're going to restore from backup. That's that little file that it made from the previous state on firmware 2.21. So the presets are all rebuilt. We're going to go back down to HX Edit. There we go. So now we're going to go back to File, Restore from Backup. We're going to use this guy. Sure. You can see on the little screen there on the Helix that it said it's transferring data, so we know it's at least working. These should go really, really quick because I don't have anything in there right now. Cool. And we are done. So, had I not had to downgrade my Helix to the previous 2.21 firmware, my IRs that were already loaded on the unit and my presets would have been there, and you would have been able to check them out through here, this user section. All the factory presets are there. But you would just click on this and you would go to user and you would see all the stuff that you had was now where it was supposed to be, as well as your impulses. I had about 12 impulses, so I'm not that worried about putting them back in. But anyway, for those of you, if you're just doing an update and this isn't your first time owning a Helix, all your stuff would be here. Back to what I'm super geeked about is just this scalability of the editor itself. I don't use the editor a whole ton. I like to edit on the unit itself, but super cool. Just to double check the firmware, even though I know it's right, we're going to go back and do what we did on step 1. We're going to make sure that our firmware is now 2.30. So again, we're going to go back to this button with the 3 lines. We're going to hit global settings, and you can see it is 2.30. So we're good. Everything worked as it should, and we are rocking with the newest firmware on our Helix. So there it was, firmware 2.3. You got 7 new amps, 7 new effects. Very interested to dig in and see what the amps sound like. I know what I've read about them seems very cool. Very excited to have the train wreck. Very excited to have the EP booster. Very excited to have the Roland Space Echo. So a lot of cool stuff that they threw in here. And that cartographer amp that Ben Adrian made up, that's a Line 6 original, from what I understand is supposed to be awesome. So you guys get your Helixes updated. Check out the new amps, check out the new effects. Feel free to leave comments. And if you guys are feeling so inclined, go ahead and subscribe. I'm looking forward to feedback on these. I want to know what you guys want to learn in this series. So thank you for giving me your time, and we'll see you soon. Peace.